Well, welcome everyone to our webinar this evening on February 11th, 2016. It's wonderful to have you with us here tonight. My name is Jim Murphy. I'm the Managing Program Director for Financial Resources at the Episcopal Church Foundation. This evening, we are doing a brand new webinar focusing on how to choose your planned giving shepherd, or your main leader for planned giving at your parish or at your various Episcopal institutions that you may serve. On this webinar, we had at least one person signed up from the school, so it's always wonderful that all of our Episcopal institutions are participating. And those of you who may be listening to this as a recording, please do know that if I refer to rector and you have a president or a headmaster or something of that nature, please change that title in your mind, change the other terms if I slip and don't sound as inclusive. But the goal here is to share the principles of how best to choose your main leader for planned giving at your parish or Episcopal institution. Okay, and that didn't work. There we go. All right, so the Episcopal Church Foundation, for those of you who may not know us, many of you have been on our webinars before. We are an independent and lay-led foundation. We focus on strengthening the leadership and financial capabilities of all Episcopal entities. And we do this through a variety of different programs. Many of you are already familiar with our leadership resources through our Vital Practices website, and that is, of course, the website where this recording will be placed, as well as all of the wonderful resources that are kept on Vital Practices for your use at any time. If you are not familiar with it, I do encourage you to take a look. It's a fantastic resource for all Episcopal leaders. Many of you will know many of our other leadership resources, such as the Vestry Resource Guide and other educational events which take place to empower Episcopal leaders and help you do the work that God has called you to do in your own particular circumstances. We also help parishes, Episcopal entities of all kinds, to raise and manage financial resources. And that is a wide variety of activities, including helping you to vision and plan strategically for your organization. We have a wonderful capital campaign area where we can work with your Episcopal church or Episcopal entity on a sliding fee scale so that your rate is based upon your operating budget. It's a great opportunity for those of you who need that professional expertise when it comes up. We're the main resource for planned giving, and that's part of why we are doing our webinar tonight. And we're the main resource for the entire Episcopal Church. We also have a wonderful endowment management program where we can help manage those assets that are given to your parish over time. And we're happy to have Demi Prentice on the line, who can certainly ask any questions that might come up related to planned giving and endowments while we're here together. I am Jim Murphy, as I mentioned before. I'm the Managing Program Director over Financial Resources, overseeing all of the work that we do in these various areas so as to help you raise and manage financial resources. What we're going to focus in on tonight is how to select a planned giving shepherd, but I'm doing it in a couple of different pieces. First, a real quick review of the most important things to know about planned giving, followed by resources that any planned giving leader should know, whether or not they yet consider themselves a planned giving shepherd or not. Then we're going to go into the qualities, what qualities perhaps you want to avoid, as well as then going a little bit deeper for what a planned giving shepherd should do and know initially. And that is so that you can have a mind around who is the kind of person that you need to draw into this very special ministry. So what are planned gifts? Planned gifts are those gifts that people make out of their estate or out of assets that they're holding for retirement. And as I say with this slide always, this is focused on personal values. There are things that are so important to an individual in the mission and ministry of a parish or an Episcopal organization that They want to raise you to the level of family, to the same level their children and grandchildren are in their estate plans. It's crucial that the leader that is selected to do this effort and to lead this effort understands all of the basics about planned giving, not so that they are an expert, but so that they can lead others and lead the parish in this effort. This is a quick summary of what's most important about planned giving, that it is focused on the future, not simply the present. It is all about the donor's passion and those convictions that they have so that their gift will last in perpetuity, in most cases, for the congregation or Episcopal institution. Remember to always be sensitive to individual needs. It is difficult when we are talking about planned giving. We are talking about ultimate things and ultimate issues. And you should bear that in mind as you consider who is an appropriate person to lead the effort within your congregation or Episcopal institution. Building trust, essential. It is just the most essential thing to keep in mind. And through the leaders that you select to help in this effort, they need to help your parish, its leaders, and its congregation to understand how the gifts will be used and to understand that the leadership of the Episcopal entity or parish will be good stewards of the gifts with which they've been entrusted, and that over the long term they will continue to sustain awareness so that people know how they can make these special types of gifts, because planned gifts are different from annual and capital gifts. They are typically the largest gift that any individual will give in their lifetime, and because of the nature of them, because of the importance to the individual, and that they can be so significant and they are so significant emotionally to the individual, will typically not be made by every member who is currently pledging to your parish or to your Episcopal institution, and that is okay. It is the core dedicated people who will be making these types of gifts because they wish to be a part of your future. Bearing all of that in mind, this is how you're beginning to think about, well, who would be the best leader within your congregation? And we'll get to that momentarily. So the biggest obstacle that you have in a congregation, in a school, in an Episcopal camp and conference center is a lack of awareness. Individuals who love your institution or participate in your parish do not realize that they can make a planned gift to your Episcopal parish or institution, and they don't understand anything. And the problem will be every institution out there is seeking to raise planned gifts from the members of your congregation or your constituents. And because within the Episcopal Church we are so reticent to talk about money and about this level of commitment, many other charities will jump in and take those gifts that may well have better been served within an Episcopal congregation or entity. So it's crucial that you are raising awareness of how to do this and continually doing it so that people can know that they can do it, and to give them confidence that when they do it, their gift will be used for the purposes they would have intended and last for the future. Now, ECF has found over many years the best way to do this is with dedicated leaders. Your leader, we would often call a planned giving shepherd, the person to shepherd the process, not to do everything, to work with other volunteers, but certainly to shepherd the process over the long term and to share information and responsibility with others so that your process can continue on and not just be a flash in the pan for a couple of years and then die away. Now, whether or not you call your planned giving leader, the person responsible for these efforts in your congregation, a planned giving shepherd, volunteer, chair of planned giving, whatever you want to call that person, whoever they are, they have access to tremendous resources that the Episcopal Church Foundation, in its role as the main resource for planned giving in the Episcopal Church, has made available. Many of you are already aware of the things I have up on the screen right now: Funding Future Ministry, our main plan giving manual, the numerous plan giving booklets and brochures that can be downloaded for free from our website or purchased for a nominal fee. Many of you are aware of the various life income gift illustrations and the other things we do, such as the sponsored plan giving site, episcopalgifts.org, on which individual donors can go and get a great amount of information to help them learn more about and be better aware. Recently, the Episcopal Church Foundation has created an amalgamated resource, and that's where we are using the term Plan Giving Shepherd over and over again. Our Plan Giving On Demand toolkit is one that gives all of our resources in one place with one program manual that is both in print when you purchase a Plan Giving On Demand toolkit, as well as online, so that as you go through that resource, if it says listen to a webinar, look at an article, look at a plan giving brochure, whatever the case might be, all one needs to do is simply click on that link and you are hyperlinked to that resource directly. So everything that you need is in this single toolkit. The wonderful part is that we are updating this on a regular basis. This webinar eventually will be a part of it as well as all of our resources. And our goal in 2016 will also be to create a national network of plan giving shepherds. This has been a very slow starting thing, but something that when you do choose your plan giving leader, your plan giving shepherd within your congregation or Episcopal entity, they can work within this network and use the various resources of ECF to help sustain and continue their effort. So you don't have to purchase Plan Giving On Demand. It's rather inexpensive. It's only $35 through Forward Movement Publications, and I will send the link to everyone to take a look at. You could easily use all of our other resources. You can get them individually, download many of them for free. But as I say, everything is here in Plan Giving On Demand if you need it. However, let's focus on the main topic that I wanted to do tonight. And I will remind folks now, if you have any questions, so that we have a good recording, sound has been turned off, but please do simply type in your questions into the chat box that's on the screen, and I will be watching that as well as doing the webinar. And also, I'll be stopping for questions at a particular point later in the webinar. So, without further ado, let's focus on this very, very important step of selecting a plan giving shepherd. It really is the very first step that you want to take in your plan giving efforts. It's great if you order our resources and start doing something and start raising awareness, but unless you pick one or two people to be designated as the volunteer who is empowered to do this type of work at your congregation or Episcopal entity, our experience is nothing will really happen. You need someone to shepherd this process. You need someone who is willing to take on the responsibility, not of being a perfect plan giving expert, but of someone who is willing to take the responsibility to learn and to grow your plan giving effort at your congregation. These are some qualities that I've discovered over the years, and I'll be curious if Demi Prentice has any others that she might throw up on the screen. But the first is something that I think ends up being very important, and that is, it doesn't have to be a true type A person like myself, who can be a little difficult sometimes, but it needs to be someone who understands organization, someone who understands deadlines, someone who can make things happen and doesn't just let things easily flow by and missing deadlines, just letting opportunities pass them by. It needs to be someone who is focused on getting things done, because plan giving goes on for several years. It is your ultimate long-term ministry at your congregation. And so having someone in that more type A, as I would call it, role or personality, like me, like Demi, might be most helpful to you in making sure your efforts actually move forward and you just don't talk about it and rearrange the deck chairs without getting anything done. Secondly, making a planned gift. Now, in truth, this isn't actually essential because, first of all, you do want someone who's living to be your planned giving shepherd. What I mean by has made a planned gift, has made a commitment to do a planned gift to your congregation or Episcopal entity. And that can be in any form. But it is usually best for someone to lead by example, that they can demonstrate to the rest of the congregation their own testimony for why they've made this important future-focused commitment to the congregation. And again, if you're an Episcopal school, camp and conference center, whatever the case might be, one of our wonderful Episcopal agencies like Episcopal Relief and Development, American Friends of the Diocese of Jerusalem, I could go on and on. There are many. Change congregation to organization. You need to be respected. That individual needs to be respected so that when they say something, people will listen, comprehend it, and hopefully take some action. It helps in this effort over the long term. Another thing I will note is if you can find someone who is knowledgeable of the history of your parish or the history of your Episcopal organization, that is wonderful because that person can often connect events that have happened in the past with what might be going on in the present or the future in a number of different ways, in storytelling, in connecting these things together, also, for that matter, for knowing people who have given planned gifts in the past. It's amazing how little record keeping is done for planned gifts. I will not mention the different places I know throughout the church which have not done a great job of this, but let me just say that the Holy Spirit will not do your record keeping for you. She is very busy, and it is your responsibility in your congregation or Episcopal entity to keep these records. So please do note that. A willingness to learn is key. You do not need to be an expert in how a charitable gift annuity is created and maintained, such as what we do here at the Episcopal Church Foundation. What you need, though, is someone who is willing to learn, to educate themselves, use the resources that are available, whether they're from the Episcopal Church Foundation or some other entity. It doesn't matter, except, obviously, use what's easiest. And quite often, what we have at ECF is quite easy to access at any time. And another factor here is a willingness to collaborate and educate others. As I mentioned before, you could have one or two people, and those could be the planned giving co-shepherds. But over the long term, you need people who can collaborate with other leaders to make team efforts, to raise awareness among leadership throughout the congregation, not to create silos of information, but to focus on educating people throughout your congregation or Episcopal entity. And that includes being willing to include others in planned giving education. And eventually, I'll mention later, a planned giving committee, so that you have a much wider human resource able to focus on planned giving, and that one planned giving shepherd won't get burned out by having all the responsibility on him or her. So collaboration is key, and being willing to educate others and not keep information to yourself for whatever purpose that might be. And I will mention here something that is very important, that you don't need to be a planned giving shepherd, you don't need to be an attorney, you don't need to be a financial planner, and you don't need to be a professional fundraiser. It can be beneficial to be in that role. However, sometimes people who are in that role, especially people who might be doing financial planning or insurance or something like that, sometimes it may appear as if they are doing this work to promote their own business. That is very, very dangerous if those optics are perceived in that way. It is best to have someone who is clearly focused on the benefit of the parish and the future mission and ministry of the parish. Now that doesn't mean that it can't be an attorney or a CFP, a certified financial planner, or a professional fundraiser. That will work. But that person will need to be very clear when they're talking to people about the importance that this is for the parish. They are not seeking adding clientele or anything of that nature. Also, to wrap this section up, the importance of time, that the planned giving shepherd has the time to spend on teaching themselves various things about planned giving so that they can teach others and gather others into that effort. You do not want to incorporate people in your effort that don't have sufficient time. Now, one group of folks that quite often don't have any extra time, but often get saddled with the planned giving efforts are your rector and quite often your church warden and treasurer. Now, it may seem like that makes a lot of sense because this can be a very pastoral role. It can be one which requires someone to be in an important position so that they can speak adequately, strongly about these issues. However, you don't want to have this effort solely focused on the person who is leading your congregation, your rector, your vicar, whoever that might be at this time. And your church wardens and treasurers are typically just far too busy to have the time to focus in on this. And you want an individual who is demonstrating that they have the ability to learn on their own and gather others in. And it's just very difficult for folks in these sorts of roles to do the planned giving shepherd role. And quite honestly, your rector, church wardens, and treasurer will thank you for not trying to draw them in. Now, it's possible in a very small parish it might work, but just bear that in mind. Normally you don't want to have someone who is chairing your finance committee or your endowment lead as planned giving shepherd. It is possible. You can do it. The problem is often they're quite busy, but the additional reason to be mindful of that is that you don't want to have this tight correlation in people's minds, because much of this is about people's minds and emotions, that all the planned giving shepherd is focusing in on is money, because that's not what they're doing. Planned giving is your ultimate long-term ministry, and your planned giving shepherd is key in doing that ministry for your congregation, okay? And the danger is if it appears that there's this tight correlation between building endowment funds and the planned giving shepherd, and that the planned giving shepherd's role is not primarily to help people think about their end-of-life plans and just shepherd this effort forward so that people can reflect on what is appropriate for them in their particular circumstances. And if it's only focused on money, that will turn people off. I had been in a parish that actually did this fairly successfully, but it was difficult, where the actual planned giving committee was in charge of the endowment and gave grants. Now, it ended up working fine because they had some wonderful leadership in place, but it ends up being very difficult when you have that tight correlation, because people may be turned off that you're only talking about money and not about their commitment, their passion for the future mission and ministry of the parish or the Episcopal entity. Because this is not about how much money people give. It's about that they have the opportunity to give. And you as a planned giving shepherd are encouraging them to do so and helping them to figure out what is best for them in their own particular circumstances without giving legal, tax, or financial advice. And let me just reiterate that is a crucial factor, and why sometimes it may be better that the person who's the plan giving shepherd is not an attorney or a CFP, so it doesn't appear as if they are giving that legal, tax, and financial advice. They should be suggesting that the individuals are seeking that out for themselves and making their families aware of what their plans are. Just another caution, because I saw it in a couple of places, just be mindful for people who may appear, I mentioned this before, to be building up their own business. I had encountered someone who was very enamored with insurance, and I wondered why, because though that's a wonderful planned gift to give, it's not that common. It's great to encourage, but I then found out the person was actively involved in insurance. And whether it was because they were promoting themselves or simply finding that particular tool useful, it just comes across in a negative way. So those are the main factors. That's the meat of what I wanted to get over tonight. However, let's go a little bit deeper about selecting your plan giving shepherd. And it's a key factor of who are you going to ask? Well, let me just ask you now. For all of you who are here tonight and all of you who are listening to this webinar as a recording, you may be your parish, school, or Episcopal entity's plan giving shepherd. So I often say to people, are you looking in the mirror? You might be the perfect person to be doing this plan giving work in your congregation. So please listen carefully to all of this, because it may be you, and it often can be. When you do select that person, whether it's you or someone else, be very clear about the commitment, and be clear that what they are primarily doing is committing to shepherding, to moving this process forward and monitoring it, checking in with people, checking in with the process and the schedules that you can download from Plan Giving on Demand and other resources, and that they are focusing on teaching others, especially other people that might be interested in becoming a plan giving leader. For time frame, this is an interesting and often difficult question. Plan giving, as I say, is your ultimate long-term ministry. You need to have continuity between leadership, but you certainly shouldn't only have one person knowledgeable, because when that person either moves away, retires from their position, or sometimes passes away, there's no one to take up the effort. So I'm a strong believer in doing at least 2 plan giving co-shepherds who can work together on these efforts. I know in smaller parishes and smaller institutions it's hard to do that, but if you are dealing with just a single individual, please have that person constantly looking for a lieutenant to prepare, and someone that they can share their knowledge and all of the other resources that they've used to learn about plan giving. Because what their role is as well is training up the next plan giving shepherd. Many times people serve for several years, and I actually think that is probably the best way. If you can have one individual commit to serve 2 or more years at a time, that can be beneficial. Going beyond 3 years could get into difficult territory, because perhaps it's burnout, or you have one person doing the same thing for too long. So again, realizing it's harder in smaller places, but it's crucial to be training up new people in your efforts so that you do have long-term continuity, so that you don't have this great effort in a few years and then the effort just drops. And that, honestly, is the biggest problem I've seen in Episcopal congregations across the country. You'll have one person that was dedicated and really excited about plan giving. They do it for a few years, and either they get burned out or they move on, and then there's no one to take it over. No one was inspired by that person or got the resources that that person had access to. And of course, Plan Giving on Demand is intended to pass from Plan Giving Shepherd to Plan Giving Shepherd, so that that can be passed on to future leaders within the congregation. Okay. I'm going to shift now into some of the things that your Plan Giving Shepherd should do early on. And intentionally I'm doing this so that you get to be thinking about whether you or someone else is an appropriate person, because these are some initial things they need to be focused on pretty quick. Okay? So what should your plan-giving shepherd do first? Well, the first thing is something I've been saying over and over again and goes back to this type A personality. They need to be proactive. They need to be willing to take action right away, teach themselves and be ready to teach others and lead the effort, and for that matter, build collaborations with the clergy of the parish as well as other leaders. So as the plan-giving shepherd gets started, they need to educate themselves. And I say they because I'm hoping you have at least two of them, that they need to listen to webinars or other resources that are available. There's many, many resources out there in various fundraising forums all across the country, and that they are always encouraging other leaders to learn and be educated as well. They need to seek out those initial plan-giving volunteers right away. And you don't need to be, let me rephrase that, you don't need to have all of your plan-giving volunteers be difficult type A people like me. You can also have a variety of personality types after you have your plan-giving shepherds in place, because you need a variety of people to plan events that will take place, and that isn't the topic of this webinar, that's in other webinars. But you need a variety of personalities and skills to do different things. So it's great to have a large number of people that you can rely on. Ideally, this will evolve into a plan-giving committee of several people who have different skills, all of whom on that plan-giving committee will probably have made a planned gift commitment. And they will also be willing, each of them, to be giving their own testimony, either in writing or oral form or whatever the case might be online, about why they chose to make a planned gift and why it was important for them to focus on the future mission and ministry of the congregation. What your plan-giving shepherd should be doing when he or she or they are in place is hopefully reaching out to resources. You can always contact the Episcopal Church Foundation. I do quite a lot of work with dioceses and other Episcopal entities all across the country on an ongoing basis. We have resources here in the New York office that can support donors as well as plan-giving folk. We have Demi Prentice on the line who assists all of our endowment clients in their plan-giving efforts. But reach out to ECF. We're happy to help. And this is a key thing. We found that many congregations have done a terrible job not only of keeping records, but of putting policies and procedures in place. Now, what that does is it erodes the level of trust within the congregation. If you don't have in place endowment and gift acceptance policies, it impacts how well you can raise planned gifts and other types of major gifts. And that is because the vast majority of planned gifts will end up in the endowment. Because planned gifts focus on the future, they're gifts of passion and conviction, people want them to last. And so the most appropriate place for most planned gifts is in the endowment. And so to prove to the members of your congregation, or if you're a school or Episcopal entity, to your various constituencies, that you are serious about protecting their gift and using it for future needs and future mission, is to put in place endowment and gift acceptance policies. Now, we'll include in the email that we send out with this recording an invitation that if any of you would like copies of our own ECF's best practice endowment and gift acceptance policies, we are happy to share them with you. Actually, Demi Prentice would send them to you and can help you to customize them for your own particular situation. That is so important, again, because you're building trust. And we found this is a key way to be doing it, that you're building resources, both in people and in process. Okay, so what to do next? Some of you have probably seen this. It's sort of the reverse of what I normally tease when I'm in person, of asking people where within our wonderful Book of Common Prayer is there the clearest direction to clergy, this is not a wishy-washy direction, that they must instruct people about the duty to make provisions in their will, certainly to make provisions for their families. Now, this can certainly be used at a number of different times. It's in the prayer book under the celebration for the birth or adoption of a child, a very important transformational time in people's lives. But please know, you as leaders of your congregation, as the plan-giving shepherd perhaps, as the rector, you can use this direction at any number of times. You can print it in various publications. This has been in our prayer book ever since the very first prayer book in 1549. And it allows people to be reminded about the importance of raising their parish or Episcopal entity to the level of family in their estate plans. And I bring it up because I want to highlight how important it is for the plan-giving shepherd to collaborate with the head of the school, with your rector and other clergy at your institution, so that you can help your rector be a better pastoral influence to emphasize the vision of plan giving within your particular context. So I've seen this as well. I was just recently in a wonderful parish down in Tennessee with a fantastic young rector who really has vision for what the parish can accomplish. And it's very clear that he has made it a part of his own ministry to make sure that people are aware of this section of the prayer book and supports all the leaders in a variety of ways to help encourage that. Now, obviously, it's crucial that you are sharing information with others at your congregation. Obviously, I've already talked about within the circle of planned giving folk, people that want to know more about plan giving, the shepherds, people on your initial plan giving committee, and others that you will rely on as a human resource to give testimony. But also, as soon as you can begin sharing information with parishioners and other leaders. You can do this in a variety of ways. One way I encourage the plan-giving shepherd to demonstrate their level of collaboration is to talk to the vestry, talk to other committees within the congregation to make sure that they are aware of the different aspects and what's important to know about plan giving, that they are initiating the listening of a webinar, just like this one. We have many at ECF, so that they can know this information and have a better understanding of what is trying to be accomplished by plan giving. You can also share booklets and brochures. I mentioned that before. It's very easy as an early stage to put these in the tract rack at the back of a church, or include in alumni distributions if you're an Episcopal school. You can also play different webinars. We have one that I encourage many people to view, which is called the Donor Webinar. I just recorded it on December the 1st of last year. And 35-minute webinar that you as a plan-giving shepherd could just copy the link, paste it in an email, and send it on to someone who's inquired to you about plan giving. You could even use it within the context of an adult forum if that's fitting for you. So whatever fits, make use of resources that you have access to. ECF has tons of them, and please share them with the rest of the congregation. Quick start. And again, I'm trying to do this fairly quickly, but what is this quick start that I'm talking about? Well, the quick start, and what you have to think about with a quick start, can your plan-giving shepherd make some of these evaluations of where you are as a congregation? Quick start is something I recommend if you have a parish that is ready to get started right away on raising awareness of plan giving. And what they will probably have coming up is a major event like an annual meeting or a large meeting of the parish, and there will be a few minutes within that context for someone to do a testimony about why they've chosen to make a planned gift And you can encourage others at this event to stand up and be recognized if they have made a planned gift. Now, this entire process is actually an article that you can look at for free on Vital Practices, on our Vital Practices website. It's also linked in a number of ways to our Planned Giving on Demand. So this is just an excerpt from the article, but you can read the full article on how to do a quick start for your planned giving effort. I actually recommend it for a lot of parishes because it just gets things going quickly. And if you have a major event like an annual meeting or something like that coming up, it's a great opportunity to get started quickly and can also jumpstart the individual that you are looking to for being the planned giving shepherd. Okay. After that, as I've mentioned already, it's crucial that your vestry and other committees within the congregation or your Episcopal entity's governing board is involved, that they know more. They understand what's different about planned giving and what's important about planned giving to the individual so that they can consider it for themselves, first and foremost, and secondly, that when opportunities may come up for them to talk about the future mission and ministry of the congregation, they can do it. And if your planned giving shepherd is raising awareness regularly to these leaders will be more able to not only give their own testimony, but to encourage others. And opportunities do come up to a variety of Episcopal leaders, but quite often it's the planned giving shepherd who stirs the pot and brings this about. So I've mentioned already several times about the Planned Giving Committee. This isn't something you must do immediately. It is something the Planned Giving shepherd should begin thinking about as soon as that person has begun to educate themselves and begun to reach out to people and investigate who else has either made a planned gift, is willing to be a part of this planned giving effort, to be that human resource to the parish and to the planned giving shepherd. So by reaching out, they're able to delegate some tasks so that the burden is not all on them, and that they can begin to train others and raise awareness. This just helps widen the circle so that more people in the congregation know this. Now, just to go back to how this relates to picking your planned giving shepherd, therefore, it's crucial that you have someone who is respected and known within the congregation, and also is someone who is willing to delegate. If you have someone who keeps everything very tight, they may not be the best planned giving shepherd because they need to move to a place of delegation. Because if they don't have that wider circle, when that person stops being planned giving shepherd, it will likely begin to end your planned giving efforts. And it is crucial that your planned giving efforts go on and are sustained over time, because you want people to know that all the work you've been doing in planned giving is not just about the money. It's about the ministry. It's about giving opportunities for people to make this high-level commitment to your congregation, raising you to the level of family. This also brings up the point about training others and being willing to do so. As the planned giving shepherd gets started, they should focus on planning. This is another key factor. They should be capable of planning and able to be building up others as a leader, as a collaborator with the planned giving committee. And they should be planning for the future. There's a number of schedules and resources in Planned Giving on Demand and many of our other resources so that it helps the planned giving shepherd think logically and systematically about how to plot out, how to raise awareness within the congregation. There's a number of ways to do this. There is not just one way. And your parish may use a different order than what we may recommend in Planned Giving on Demand, and that's just fine. You know your parish better than we do, but it's helpful to know what others have done so that you can consider what's right for our parish and what's right now for our parish. What should we do first? Should we do a final affairs fair where you bring together a number of attorneys and hospice care workers and funeral directors and other people who know estate planning to talk about all the different things that go along with planning for the end of life. Well, my goodness, some parishes, that may be just way too much to start on right now. I'm headed to a parish in the upper Midwest in a couple of months, and initially they wanted to do something like that. They wanted to focus on planning for the end of life at their legacy society, and now suddenly they've gone totally different direction. They felt they didn't want to do that. It wasn't fitting for the context and for where the parish is now, so they changed, and that's fine. You can reconsider that too, and many times you might consider that a more simple adult forum or simply having testimonials within a large group meeting like I talk about in the Quick Start article that I had up before may just be fine for beginning to raise awareness more slowly or within the context of your parish. And what's important here is that the plan-giving shepherd does not, I'll repeat, does not make all the decisions him or herself, that they are doing it by talking to others that they have involved in the plan-giving effort so that they get good information from many other people. As Demi knows, and probably others who know me know, I'm a big fan of St. Benedict of Nursia, the author of the rule in the 5th century. Anyway, and Benedict was all about getting input. You may have a single person who makes the final decision, but you need input. You need input from everyone because different opinions will have different insights, and better to get a wider variety of opinion before you start planning an event for the future. So think about that. You need to choose a plan-giving shepherd who can focus on planning and be open to new ideas and other ideas, and sharing not only their own ideas and experience, but also being willing to listen to others and learn from others. Just as a sort of a final point here, eventually, it is usually a good idea for your plan-giving shepherd to work on moving forward the creation of a legacy society. Now, a legacy society is a membership society. Yes, it is a group of folks who have told the parish that they have raised the parish to the level of family in their estate plans. They've made a gift through their will, through a life income gift like a charitable gift annuity or charitable trust. They've made the parish a beneficiary of an insurance policy or the pay on death for an IRA or a bank account or something of that nature. Anyone who has made that commitment should be invited to become a member of the Legacy Society. And as the plan-giving shepherd moves this effort in the future, and again, it's something that does not happen right away. It's something that takes probably a couple of years to plan, and all of our resources at ECF can help you to work through this process. Eventually, it is probably a good idea for the plan-giving shepherd to shepherd the idea of a plan-giving legacy society as well. The reason is the Legacy Society is probably one of the best ways that you can regularly keep awareness sustained and say thank you on a regular basis to those who've raised the parish or the Episcopal entity to the level of family. That is because if you do a Legacy Society well, and we have other webinars that address this issue, you're widely inviting anyone who has made that commitment, regardless of the type, regardless of the dollar amount, because you're not asking how much someone is giving. But you are inviting anyone who has made that commitment to become a member. And then at least once a year minimum, you can do much more if you wish, but at least once a year you are saying thank you to the members of that Legacy Society, so that they feel appreciated and that they understand that the parish leadership understands how important that gift is to them as an individual. The plan-giving shepherd needs to shepherd that effort as well. And so this is a longer-term effort. That's why typically if a plan giving shepherd can at least have a 2-year commitment, if not a 3-year, so that as they begin their effort in year 1, just basically raising awareness and gathering other leaders, they can also put together that plan giving committee to plan some events and look forward a year or so more into the future to have an inaugural Legacy Society event, or if you already have had a Legacy Society at your parish, to reignite the passion for that Legacy Society. And it does take time. Plan giving takes planning, and you need to plan out the events and opportunities to raise awareness as well. So I haven't seen many people come up with questions, but in the remaining minutes that we have left, I would love to have folks type in questions. I'm actually going to highlight a couple things. Looks like Miss Demi Prentice has said. She always says something wise. Yes, plan giving champion. Whether or not you call it a plan giving shepherd, plan giving chair, whatever, plan giving champion's fabulous. I love that too. I like the vision of a shepherd because you don't have to do everything, but you do have to shepherd the process, sometimes nudging people forward. Call it what you will, you still need all the same aspects. Relationship building is key. Understanding and building trust is key, because if you don't have trust in the leadership of your congregation, you will have a very hard time of raising any types of gifts, and that includes even gifts to support the church annually. She's reiterating the issue as well of record keeping. That's very, very true. That's a key factor in helping people to know what has happened in the past, how you say thank you, as well as so that you are a good steward as a plan-giving shepherd of the information you oversee so that you can pass that on to the next person. I just had a conversation with a wonderful priest who's in charge of the plan-giving efforts of a diocese down south, wonderful guy, and he said to me yesterday when I was talking to him, because I was commending him for all of the good work he was doing and the record keeping he was doing, he said, well, you know, I'm not going to be here forever, and I need to be the person to empower the next person. That is exactly how a plan-giving shepherd should be thinking. Now, no one's asked any questions. I really do invite you, if you wish, to type in a couple of questions. I'm going to be so bold as to unmute Demi. Demi, I'm unmuting you, so if you have rock music in the background, you better turn it down. Demi, I've unmuted you. Just since no one else has asked any questions, did you have any extra pointers you wanted to make?
I just want to emphasize the relational nature of this plan-giving shepherd. Sometimes the person on the endowment committee who draws the short straw or is in the restroom when the vote is taken ends up being the plan-giving shepherd. And often the folks on the endowment committee are really the sharp pencil folks. They do a really good job in overseeing and safeguarding the endowment investments, but they may not have the relational skills, the emotional intelligence, the what shall we say, the gift of gab, and
they may not,
and the trust building chops that you really want in a plan-giving shepherd. One of the best people, I think, is someone who really, really, really loves your church. That's a great place to start.
Thank you so much, Demi. Well, we really have no other questions, so we're going to wrap up tonight. What I just wanted to, is if I can ever turn the page.
Oh, someone's
there. We go. There we go. Well, thank you, Demi. So just to wrap up, please know that the Episcopal Church Foundation has tremendous resources that are accessible to you. I note all of these webinars. This webinar is going to be recorded and will be available. The donor webinar, quite honestly, is one that's very valuable to a plan-giving shepherd. Please do make use of all of the webinars that are available to you, but know that you can always simply copy and paste the link and send it on. So that's really it for this evening. please do watch out for our upcoming webinars and ones that are on site. And Demi, I don't know why I don't have your picture here. I thought I had pasted it last night when I was finishing this slide, and as you can see, it's been moved to have a space for you. But I must have had a problem, so I sincerely apologize to Demi for that. But ECF is always available to you guys if you need anything. And please do let us know. And again, let me just reiterate the most important thing about planned giving that I say at every workshop, and that is when someone makes a planned gift, they are raising your parish or your Episcopal institution to the level of family in their estate plans. And you need, as a leader of your parish, whether you are a planned giving shepherd or not, you need to demonstrate that you understand how important that gift is to that person and to thank them in culturally appropriate ways. So God bless everyone tonight. Thank you so much for coming, and I look forward to hopefully speaking with you in the future. So have a wonderful evening.